Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live, Thursday, the 30th of October, with Steve Wyss, and Will White is alongside me as we discuss today's Serie A action. We're going to be looking ahead to the MLS weekend slate and some other bets that Will's interested in for the weekend. Will, I had to check that it wasn't Champions League today. It's good to see you. How have things been your end?
Yeah, good day to you, Steve. Good day to everyone out there. Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it, having me on a non-Champions League day? But here I am, looking forward to it. I do have more in my locker than just Champions League, so yeah, let's get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome into everyone. Leslie Mack is saying both teams to score yes in the Paphos and Pisa game. Rick Haley, good to see you. Philip Towler as well. Nish, Mike, Ming Chung, Ian Messina, Needleman, Real Brennan King. And you're absolutely right, Needleman, on two counts there. The Monday Swedish bets went really well. And yesterday, superb daily double, the first ever daily double winner on Betting Weekly Live soccer version. Simon Holden delivering the goods. So big congrats to Simon. And the tennis guys have been firing the daily double winners this week. Betting Weekly Live US has as well. The form's there. So I hope everyone's been profiting this week. Just looking through some other comments. Real Brennan King said he missed out, fortunately, betting on the LAFC game. And he would have bet Sun to score, but he didn't get on the scoreboard yesterday. It wasn't such a great day for a couple of big bets on the soccer yesterday, though. $40,000 PSG money line against Lorient. A shock draw for Paris Saint-Germain in France. And Fiorentina plus 1.25 Asian handicap against Inter Milan. That was a big money loser, $30,000 play there. And another loser in the EFL Cup, Tottenham to score in the first half, $15,000 loser. Fiorentina, of course, really struggling down there in the bottom end of Serie A. And it's one of those weeks where we have a strange sort of midweek card where we've got cup action going on in Germany, Spain. We had the whole midweek card in France was yesterday. And then we sort of Serie A are spacing it out evenly. How has this midweek card been treating you? Did you get caught up in the chaos of the French card last night?
Yeah, I did, Steve. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's kind of, for me anyway, super hectic Tuesday and Wednesday. And then today it's just a bit of a lull, and we've just got the two Serie A games. And then if you like, kind of the Dutch Cup and the Turkish Cup, I think, is on the early rounds, and various other kind of tournaments. It's a bit of a lull for me personally. There are only the two games that I'm getting stuck into tonight. We do have the MLS coming up on the weekend, and obviously we've got a big European card as well. So I'm kind of in a bit of a lull myself after two very hectic days. And yes, I was punting French Ligue on midweek card.
I had one bet yesterday and it won, and I gave it out on the Instagram account. Cremonense, draw double chance. I didn't bet on the French midweek card because my record in the midweek round for France is terrible, and I would have lost. I would have lost. There were four bets I liked. I liked Lens. I liked the overs in Nice. I liked there was Marseille as well, and PSG minus 1.5 kind of looked a bit of a gift. I would have lost all four bets, but my record, nothing ever logically goes to plan in that French midweek round. I don't know why that is, but I've noticed it down the years. So I was glad I didn't get involved. It's strange stuff, really. Yeah, sometimes you just got to learn from past mistakes. So I did that. Down Roebuck with cash in though with Strasbourg there, as Needleman said, and say that daily double from Simon. Well done to that one. Okay, well, we might as well move on to today's slate. I say slate, it's not exactly much of one, is it? But we are going to discuss both the Serie A games in complete detail today. And there's 2 matches left this round. Cagliari Sassuolo starts things off. Match kicks off in about 2.5 hours' time at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And it's quite a pick 'em with the books here. Cagliari plus 150, Sassuolo plus 195, and the tie is at plus 205. Plus money for over 2.5 goals, and it's nearly evens on both teams to score. Yes, for this one. It's one of those fixtures where Cagliari are a slight favourite in the game, but not a lot between the two teams. I had a look at the record of both sides this season. There's a lot of inconsistency, Will. So in some ways, I can perhaps understand these odds. How are you assessing the two teams heading into this contest?
I think the two teams themselves are pretty equally rated. I've got them pretty much bang on the same rating in my ratings model. And I think when you factor in home field advantage, actually, I think there's a bit of value here on Cagliari on the Tino bet, around about minus 130. They did lose their last 2 at home to Inter and Bologna. They were outplayed in both of those matches. But those teams are way better than Sassuolo. Sassuolo not in the same league, really, no pun intended, as Inter and Bologna. But traditionally, Cagliari are pretty strong at home. If you look back over the last 3 seasons, they've averaged 0.7 points per game more at home than they have away, and that's quite the disparity. And they are based in Sardinia, I believe, so kind of island, tend to have slightly higher home advantage when teams have to travel to island stadiums. I do believe this is projected to be a sellout as well. I know 2 of the 4 stands are sold out, and Cagliari and social media are kind of making a deal about that. So often in these kind of midweek games, if you're back in the home team, you want to try and figure out whether they've got the full home field advantage, i.e. a full attendance, and it looks like Cagliari do here. And then also, Sassuolo are missing Domenico Berardi. He's their club captain and talismanic striker, probably their best player. And he's out of the squad here completely, so not even going to be on the bench. And then conversely, Cagliari, they get back influential centre-back Yerry Mina here. I'm not sure if he'll start, but he's back in the squad. I think when you kind of mix all of those factors together, Cagliari Tino bet minus 130 looks pretty good to me. And that'll actually be my first leg of today's daily double.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning for those who don't know, like you said there, Will, Cagliari are an island-based team in Sardinia. I've never been to Sardinia myself, but I know my cousin actually went there this summer, and it's a criminal offence to steal sand from the island. It's a trademarked sand, beautiful sand.
I've been to Sardinia, Steve.
Have you?
I know I wasn't very sure there about it. There was a bit of kind of lack of certainty on Cagliari being in Sardinia, but I have been there, yes. Quite a long time ago, but it's a pretty nice place. Beautiful.
Yes, that is what everyone says. It's a very, very beautiful place. And these island teams, they can be tricky places to visit sometimes. It depends if you enjoy going to those sort of areas. There is 66% of money on Sassuolo, but 69% of the tickets are on Cagliari. So an interesting split there. 96% of the money on the over-under market is on the under. So under is quite fancied here, Will. The goal, the inconsistency of both teams with over-under. Cagliari especially, 1 week they go over, then they're under. There's no consistency with them whatsoever. But there is, as I say, that money on the under. Interesting stat from producer Troy, actually, in that both teams score, has failed to hit in 5 of Sassuolo's last 7 matches across all competitions. You mentioned Berardi there being a big absentee for Sassuolo. He's the heartbeat of the team, isn't he? And he's the obvious bet always for player props as well. So that was the easy bet kind of taken out of my equation. But you like the Tino bet here on Cagliari. That's going to be the first part of your daily double. In terms of player props for the games, is there anyone that catches your eye? There is actually one player I quite like in the shots on target market.
Yeah, there's one I quite like. I had him down as a pick, but I've since kind of gone back on that because, yeah, I'm not that sure. But it's is it Mattia Felici? I'm not sure if it's Mattia, but it's Felici is
Mattia
player I like.
Felici, yes.
Yeah.
Minus 106 for a shot on target with Beverly.
Yeah, it just seems too big based off the statistics this season, basically. And I mean, it's a limited sample size, right? But I believe he's averaging 2.33 shots on target per 90 so far. Haven't seen much of Cagliari myself, but that to me tells me that he's either playing in a very advanced role or he likes a shot on target. And so around about plus 100, I think that's certainly a lean for me if I had to.
I like Andrea Pinamonti for a shot on target for Sassuolo, minus 152, and also over 1.5 shots on target at plus 290. He does have 10 shots on target in 9 competitive games this season. He's hit the target in 6 out of 9 competitive matches this season. And he's someone that I've been keeping an eye on. He hasn't actually had a shot on target in his last 2 fixtures against Roma and Lecce, which I quite like that in a way because he's due, isn't he? So Pinamonti, this is a player who didn't stay with the team when they got relegated. He got loaned out to Genoa, scored 10 goals there last season. Decent player. Not going to back him to score any time, but I think the shot on target's worth a look. The danger with taking any of the players in the shots market today is that actually all 4 teams in Serie A in action today are in the bottom 7 for average shots per game. Pisa 9.1, Cagliari 9.5, Sassuolo 9.6, and Lazio 10.6. So we're not expecting a barrage of shots today in Serie A. It might be quality over quantity rather than the speculative efforts. Effie Brilovsky says Cagliari draw to Wolverhampton under 3 goals. Nish is on both teams score, yes. And Tristan Wiggle says under 9.5 corners looks a good bet. That's actually the biggest bet on the sportsbook so far. $5,000 on Cagliari Sassuolo under 9.5 corners. Was that your money, Tristan? But it's certainly been well back there. ZT, good to see you as well. And there was one other stat for the game. I think I gave I did give the betting breakdown. So the 96% of the money on the under. But, that Cagliari Tino bet, Will, that's obviously one part of your daily double today. Is this knocking on the door of your best bet of the day as well? Not that there's much to go at today.
Of the day, I don't even think it's my best bet of the day, to be honest. But it's a pretty good bet. It's a pretty solid bet. I call it a solid bet. I mean, it's kind of one of those where it's like you can't make the argument that this should be minus 160, but maybe it should be minus 150. So maybe we've got 5% in our favor. It feels like it's about 5% in our favor. But sometimes you can find bets where you've got 10, 20% in your favor. This is on main Asian handicap lines on the top 5 European leagues. You're not going to find many bets that are 10, 20% in your favor.
Of course you're not.
So we'll have to take 5% and maybe we find something better in the Lazio game or maybe we have to wait until the weekend. But I'll take 5%.
I mean, this is all about the corners there. And to be fair, if the shots are low, then I think that will increase the chances of under corners. As it's not going to be so sort of end-to-end and wild. Steve Gregory, Cagliari and Lazio both to win. And under 3.5 goals parlay is at plus 800. That's an interesting looking parlay there, Steve, must say. We move to the later game now. This is Pisa against Lazio. Lazio are the favourites, but you can get them at plus money. And I think they will be quite an attractive bet for a lot of people here, actually, Will. Pisa, of course, newly promoted side. They are struggling. Their metrics aren't very good. I mean, at home, they've still yet to score a goal this season, Pisa. So that is a concern for them. But they have just come into the game off the back of that 2-2 draw recently against AC Milan. They also gave Napoli a huge fright. So they're a funny case, aren't they? Lazio, I don't know whether I'm coming and going with them this season, I must admit. I don't deny they deserve to be favourites, Will, but plus 110, is that about fair?
Might be a little bit short, you know.
Really?
Obviously, Lazio are the much bigger name here, but look at their absences. They're missing Tati Castellanos, they're missing Cancellieri, they're missing Deli Bashiru, and they're missing, I think, more importantly than those two, Ravella and Tavares. Ravella's kind of the heartbeat of this team, maybe Castellanos as well. And Tavares is an absolute beast up that left side. They're missing all of those players. And for me, I wouldn't be touching them at plus 110. I'm not sure there's enough in it for me to bet a Pisa plus a half, but that would be my lean.
It's
like
a
you
hard
said,
game.
It's a hard game, but I think it's an interesting game at the same time. And maybe the money keeps coming for Lazio, and we do see minus 110 on that Pisa plus a half. That would definitely tempt me in. But it's an interesting game because, like you say, Pisa are winless, but they almost got that win away to AC Milan in the last round, and Milan are good this year. And Milan don't have the European football, so kind of lots of injuries though. But Pisa almost came away with 3 points there from the San Siro, and then at the same time, Lazio, the results look good on paper, but their underlying metrics are not that impressive, and they're decimated by injury. So yeah, I would be leaning Pisa if anything, but the price isn't there for me yet. One thing I would say about these two teams, which stood out to me, is both of them are massively overperforming their underlying defensive metrics. I'll get onto this a little bit more later when I kind of get into the second leg of my daily double. But, that would kind of, maybe that suggests it's a recipe for overs, but the line is 2.25. But I don't know, this is Serie A. The Serie A lines are very low this season. Generally, 2.25 is about right. And Lazio do have a lot of kind of creative influences that are not going to be playing here, that are out injured. So I've gone into the player prop market, and I think I found something there.
Yeah, this is saying there he thinks Pisa might be able to show up possibly a sneaky goal for both teams to score. Yes. I mean, they do seem to show up against the bigger teams based on what we've seen. The performance against AC Milan and Napoli was good. Maybe they prefer playing against those sort of sides, as a clear dog, which is something worth considering. Effie says both teams score no is the best bet in Pisa. Lazio will not win today. And there's an interesting stat producer Troy gave me, actually. 6 of Lazio's last 7 Serie A matches following in a win have resulted in a draw. So they haven't backed up wins enough with back-to-back successes. Player props market then, Will. Who have you got for us here?
It's Gustav Isaksson from Lazio. I think he's just going under the radar here. He's recently returning from injury. He's probably a player you know better than I do, Steve, given his time in Midtjylland. But he's plus money here to have a shot on target, which is interesting because he averaged 0.98 shots on target per 90 last season, 1.17 per 90 over his career. He's almost certain to start here in that injury-depleted Lazio front three. And the total line is quite low here, so maybe the market's not expecting many shots. But plus money for Isaksson, I think it's way too big.
And I tell you what, if that is a shot on target from Isaksson, it's probably from outside the box. He's one of the best long shotters in the game, actually. Very capable of hitting the target from distance as well. Plus 117 for that shot on target. Now, the second part of your daily double does come in this game as well. We've got Cagliari tie no bet, and you are doubling it up with what exactly, Will?
Over 1.5 goals in this game. It's based off a feeling I have about Lazio that even certainly before their injury kind of problems, they were definitely a team I had in my mind as being an overs team, a team that would get involved in goals in games with lots of goals. But we have the injury absences here. But if you look at the data, both of these teams are both massively outperforming their expected goals against defensively. There should have been a combined 10 more goals in their games if the chance conversion of the opposition had been kind of as expected or an average chance conversion rate. So I think, if you look at the league table, it looks like defensively, these two are not that bad. But like I said, there should have been 10 more goals across their combined games. And so to add on, to kind of boost that -130 on the Cagliari draw no bet, we get almost up to +140 by adding in the over 1.5 goals here. So yeah, and I generally also kind of prefer backing overs in late kickoffs. Kind of evening games, I don't know what it is about evening games. Maybe it's a fallacy. I haven't really looked into it statistically, but I do like backing in overs in a late game.
Yeah, I think kickoff time is important to consider. I've noticed that any time the Bundesliga have had a 7:30 kickoff local time on a Sunday, the goals haven't flowed, for example. There is certain kickoff times that get more goals than others and don't. So I'm kind of with you on that one. Effie says Lazio do not score away even when they've got a full-strength squad. They did beat Genoa 3-0 away, which might be a similar sort of opponent based on league form at the moment, Effie. A 0-0 draw away at Atalanta on a couple of weekends ago. I think this is a different type of game. In terms of the money for the fixture, 84% of the money's on Lazio, 70% of the money's on the over for this game. You are going with the daily double today officially is Cagliari no bet and over 1.5 goals in Pisa against Lazio, and that pays +137. So that's the official daily double today. In terms of Pisa, it's got to a stage with them with no home goal. I almost feel like they've got to go for it a bit more, because this is not a good sort of trend statistic to have on your record, and there'll be almost a bit of a demand from the fans to perhaps get that goal on the board at home, Will. So I kind of got a feeling as well that they might show up, as Nish says. Whether they get a result, that's a different question entirely. I do think this is a weird one. I think Pisa will score. I'm going to go with a Lazio win 2-1 in this game. But I'm not going to get heavily involved in it overall. Tristan says, at what price would you consider Cagliari on the money line, Will?
I think, is it +150 currently?
Yeah.
I think +150 is probably quite fair. To be honest. Yeah, I think it's probably quite fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Abdul, good to see you. Good day. What's your best bets on the card today? So yeah, keep putting in the chat any more bets you've got in these two Serie A fixtures. There's not a lot else on the card today. In general, worldwide as such. So we're going to look ahead to the weekend a little bit actually now. With Will White on the show. There's been quite a lot of discussion about MLS in the chat this week. Which I've noticed. I know a lot of you follow this league, especially as we're now in the playoff situation. The first playoff round of matches has finally concluded with that LAFC win last night, 2-1. And we now go on to game 2. And we could potentially get a 3-game series across the board here. Wasn't the greatest round for the home teams. So they've got away team, sorry. So they've got to bounce back here. We've got loads of matches to discuss. If you like anything, do put it in there. I'm sure some of you got tons of angles. But I'm actually going to start off, Will, in the MLS Cup futures market with Bet Rivers. And there's a team that you think might be worth backing at a decent price. So let us know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, my view on kind of the MLS Cup is that there are 3 standout teams. And those 3 teams are Inter Miami, obviously, Vancouver and LAFC. And LAFC are the biggest price of the 3 at +800. And I think that's probably a little bit too big. The downsides are they'll probably face Vancouver in the next round, and Vancouver are very good too. But LAFC, very, very solid squad. They're normally kind of challenging for the MLS Cup. And since they've added Heung-min Son from Spurs a couple of months ago, the metrics have been absolutely through the roof. His partnership with Boanga has been total fire. And I think, although they've got a tough route to the Cup, likely to be Vancouver in the next round, then probably San Diego in the conference finals, and then probably into Miami in a hypothetical final. It's a tough road to the cup, but I think plus 800, it's worth a bit of pizza money.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got three standout teams and they're one of them, plus 800 makes a lot of sense, even if perhaps the draw isn't as soft as it could be. You've got to beat some of these teams. Real Brandon King, curious if you guys would want to see an EFL playoffs, EPL playoffs, American style. There's absolutely no chance that will ever happen, Real Brandon King. But I do know that the French league are looking into it, a change of format that the top four get into a playoffs at the end of the season, and then you get an overall champion. It's basically because of PSG's dominance that they would win the league. Where I say 9 times out of 10, it's more like 15 times out of 16, isn't it? Probably Bundesliga should consider it as well. But the problem is with European leagues, playoffs are considered for the top league anyway as not the right outcome, not the way to determine the true champion. Should be decided over a set amount of league games, and that's it. I don't think that mindset ever will change over in Europe, in the top tier leagues anyway. But it would certainly be, I mean, it would be interesting, wouldn't it? But I just don't see that ever happening in the EPL. League Cup outright thoughts, just to let everyone know, Arsenal are the favourites to win the EFL Cup now, plus 225, alongside Man City, joint favourites, Chelsea plus 450, Newcastle plus 550, Palace at 12-1, Brentford 20-1, Fulham 20-1, Cardiff 50-1. If I had to pick a team now, I would be looking at Palace or Brentford because I just know they'll take it seriously. Rather than even the quarterfinal stage, the top side's not necessarily as bothered. But cup betting isn't always for me, I must say. I tend to stay clear. Are you EFL Cup man, Will, or are you just Premier League play only?
Steve, I bet most things football related, soccer related, and most things sports related, actually. And if you run through those prices again, I'll probably be able to give you a pick. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, really? Well, there you go. I didn't think. Yeah, Arsenal, Manchester City plus 225, Chelsea plus 450, Newcastle plus 550, Palace at 12-1, Brentford 20s, Fulham 20-1, and Cardiff 50. So. Yeah, if you had a free $50 bet, who would you be on?
Maybe Brentford. Maybe Brentford.
Yeah.
Did you say plus 22?
Yeah, 20-1. I thought Brentford as well.
Yeah,
can beat anyone Brentford. On the day.
It's hard to see past Arsenal really in anything these days, though, given their squad depth. And I think probably Arteta probably wants it all this season. But yeah, as an outsider, I think Brentford.
Arsenal for the quadruple. Let's just see. I wonder what odds that is. Be interesting. I'm sure a few have betted on it. Anyway, back to the MLS slate, and there's one match you want to highlight in particular as probably best bet of the round, and we go to Nashville against into Miami on the money line. There, it's a real pick and plus 145 each, but it's the goal line that you're interested in, Will.
Yeah, it's actually kind of it's a tough card, this is. Lots of the teams that I kind of wanted to be with, the traders at Bet Rivers seem to be on the same side. And then Chicago, which is one team I'd be interested in kind of bouncing back against Philadelphia, who I think are slightly overrated. They're missing probably their best players, Inkanagel, so I can't get involved in Chicago at that plus 110. So it's kind of going to kind of my comfort zone, I guess, here. Into Miami over 3.5. It's hitting 8 of their last 9. Goal expectancy does drop in MLS playoffs. So, you don't want to be rushing into backing the overs in MLS. In fact, you probably don't want to be rushing to back the overs at the end of the regular season either, given how the end of the regular season went. But Miami, 8 of the last 9, over 3.5, including twice versus this opponent in Nashville. Game 1 finished 3-1 in Miami, and Nashville actually set up quite defensively there. There were still 4 goals, and I think they'll be a bit more attack-minded here, as obviously they need the win to avoid elimination. And then they also played in Nashville a few weeks back, finished 5-2 to Inter Miami. Miami, obviously, they've got the attacking weapons, Messi, Suarez, DePaul, Alba, Busquets there pulling the strings, but they just can't defend. And 3.5 just doesn't seem to be the right line for them anymore. Maybe the line should be 3.75 as a standardized line for Inter Miami. So I'm disappointed that that's my best bet on the MLS card. I'd like to come with more. I'd like to pick a side. But Bet Rivers traders on the ball this time around, I think.
Yeah, I was on the over 3.5 in the first match, actually. And to be honest, got lucky. I didn't expect Nashville to be so defensive in the game. I don't know why they were. But they have to come out firing Nashville in this second leg. I think Nashville win, actually, the second match. I think they're worth taking on a draw no bet handicap, actually. I think that'll go to game 3. But I think the overs it could be a wild game. They'll tell you two teams I also like. Seattle Sounders, for me, will definitely, win the second game, one way or the other, hopefully in regulation against Minnesota. Yeah. Really, really strong home record there, minus 165 money line, or you could look at handicaps minus 0.75. And I would always trust the Columbus Crew as well to win at home, I think, against Cincinnati. I think that'll go the distance to 3 games. Just one away favourite, and it's that Vancouver side that you say Vancouver are one of the best sides in MLS this season, which might surprise quite a few people. But they've been bang up for it, haven't they?
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. Thomas Muller's there now. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with, as the market shows you there, with them being minus money away favorite at FC Dallas, who aren't great. But I actually do agree, I think, with your 2 picks, Steve. If I had to, Nashville would be draw no bet at home. I'd definitely be on them rather than Miami. And then Seattle, you'd think they'll get the win in game 2 here at home. They are very strong at home. They're quite strong in general.
Steve, from then, I know you've been following these MLS playoffs and the whole season in great detail. He likes Seattle as well, especially with Rusnak back. Albert to assist has been a good play for him this season as well. And I really like this format, actually, the 3-game thing. There's nothing like this anywhere else around the world of soccer that I know of. And it's something a bit different, and I quite like it. In terms of the commentators were saying in one of the matches, it was the game where the Fire came back from 2-0 down. And the commentators were like, they might as well lose 5 or 6-0, having a go, rather than, do you know what I mean? Because aggregate score doesn't matter. It's all about on the night, that's it, and you move on to the next game. So I quite like it. I think it works for MLS. Actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, how does that affect the total, though? Because the flip side of that would be a team's down 2-0, say at half time, and then they're just kind of like, they're away from home, down 2-0 at half time. They know they've got their home leg coming up, and they kind of put on some bench players, make some subs because they want to go full gas at home. So I don't know. I think there are some theories kicking around out there that actually that is the reason why playoff goal expectancy goes down, along with the obvious that there's more on the line.
Well, I think you've got to, like you go one of 2 ways. You either just sit there and accept your fate and move to the next game, or you do what the Chicago Fire did and actually just go for it, and they managed to get back level. Nashville, I thought they just played for game 2 against Inter Miami, really. Like they knew their fate early on, and it's almost like they're saving their energy for potentially the next 2 games.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Yes, absolutely. There's betting angles to be found in it, one way or the other. But yeah, MLS playoffs this weekend. Good luck if you're taking anything in that. With Will on the show, we've also got a couple of picks from him on the weekend slate in Europe. It wouldn't be fair not to pick his brains about Barcelona. Barcelona against Elche, minus 500 favourites for Barcelona. A pasta team who going to be hurting after the loss in El Clasico. Are they banker material here, Will? Are they an easy parlay piece for someone? Are they a big handicap piece for anyone, Barcelona?
Yeah, hurting in more ways than one, Barca at the moment. They've got a lot of absences as well. Pedri is now going to be out for, I think, up to 6 weeks, and he's really the heartbeat of Barcelona. I mean, some people would argue Lamine Yamal is, but it's Pedri. I don't really know. I mean, there probably are a banker on the money line, but I'm not sure about the handicap. Elche are not that bad. I think they're 8th in the table, and that kind of flatters them a little bit. They're certainly unlikely to finish as high as 8th in the table. But there's one man, we're going back to the well. We've spoken about him probably for 2 years on this show. Seems like pretty much every show we talk about Fermin Lopez, Barcelona. We've cashed so many tickets on this player. One of my personal favorites. He scored Barca's only goal in El Clasico. Prior to that, he scored a hat-trick versus Olympiacos in the Champions League. Overall, he's got 6 goals in less than 6 full 90s this season. And with Barcelona missing Rafinha, Dani Olmo, and now Pedri, very likely he plays high minutes and has quite a lot of influence here versus an Elche side that are not as good as the table suggests. And he's minus 112 to score or assist. Last season, we probably would have been shouting about how he's plus 180 here. And, he was kind of certainly more under the radar. Now he's definitely front and center, especially after Clasico and the Olympiacos game. He'll be starting in the 10. He'll be very influential here, I think. And that minus 112, I think it's a good bet.
Yeah, I would imagine that Barcelona get back on track here. I can't say I've actually watched much of Elche this season. I've not betted on their games much. The only match that I took a bet on was the overs in the Sevilla game, and that's only because I just take Sevilla overs blind every week. So, Elche not been a team on my radar at all. This feels like the sort of game Barca probably win to 0, 3-0 territory. But Lopez to score. Sorry, let me just get the player prop again. Fermin Lopez to score or assist minus 112 is your bet for the game. And a fixture from Serie A, which I'm going to pick your brains about now, especially because I feel like one of them is a very interesting side. This is Napoli against Como, Saturday 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Napoli are the favourites for the game, as you might expect. Minus 120 here to win. Some might look at that price and think that's a big one, potentially. Como plus 350, tie plus 235. How good are Como, Will? Because I actually did make a mistake in the first few rounds of the season, underestimating them. I felt like that some of the odds going around were just not right. They didn't look right, just didn't feel right. But I think I got it wrong. I think they are a pretty good side, actually, under Fabregas. I think I'd maybe have them as about the 7th best team in the league, even. But they're very competitive, aren't they, this Como outfit?
Yeah, the market says it all, Steve. Napoli minus 0.5 at home to Como. Napoli, defending champions, currently top of Serie A. Not the best team as far as I'm concerned, but Napoli minus 0.5. There are going to be lots of people looking at that and thinking, hang on a second. That's how good Como are, I think, under Cesc Fabregas. They are very good, and they have a lot of quality players. I could run through their names, but there are lots of them. Probably Nico Paz is the one that gets the most attention and probably their standout talent for sure. I think they're good, to answer your question, yeah.
Yeah, they are. And, even I was looking at the minus 120 on Napoli. You could get even close to evens in some spots. And I'm thinking that just looks massive based on my just following soccer down the years. But this is a team, Como, they're well backed financially. I think a lot of the reason that people bet against them is just on reputation and simply the name. And this has happened very, very quickly, their rise. Paz has really impressed me. He's plus 160 to score or assist in this game for Como. And, they've been very competitive. There's a bet that you like in the game. We're looking here at the both teams score yes market. You can get evens here, which that looks pretty good based on Napoli's recent form. Take out the Lecce game, and even then they had a safe penalty against them.
Exactly, yeah.
There's been a lot of goals in Napoli games. Are Napoli suddenly an over team?
I don't know about that, but what I'm pretty confident about is it's not often you see both teams to score yes at plus 100 these days. I mean, in Serie A, it's slightly different. Goal expectancy has certainly dropped this season in Serie A. But we've got two teams here that are massively overperforming their defensive underlying numbers. Napoli have conceded 8 goals this season, but have conceded 11.51 expected goals against. Como have conceded 6 goals, and they've also conceded 11.22 expected goals against, so almost double. So Como are definitely getting very lucky in terms of their opponents' chance conversion. So, the stats definitely are screaming, in fact, that both teams to score, yes, a plus 100 is a bet here. And then I think if you look at the two sides, they've both got attacking weapons, and they're just not really that solid defensively. I think Napoli have got Ramani back from injury, who's probably could be quite an important defensive absence for them. Buongiorno is also back. He's been back a couple of games now, so maybe they'll improve defensively. Como, they're due to regress to the mean and concede a few. And then, like you said, Napoli should have conceded against Lecce, who had a penalty saved. And prior to that, have conceded in 6 of 6, despite starting out the season with 2 wins to 0. So, in a nutshell, my opinions are Napoli are overrated, Como are underrated. The market agrees with me on both of those. That's why we see Napoli only minus half a goal here. But I think both of these teams, their underlying defensive numbers show that they're more vulnerable defensively than their raw kind of goals conceded. And it's not often you see both teams to score yes at plus 100. So I'm just going to bet it.
Como are the biggest overachieving side defensively, second behind Cremonense, plus 5.22 goal overachievement at XGA. So, you're looking at the goalkeeper. They've actually signed a goalkeeper from the Swedish champions Mjällby called Noel Tornqvist, and he will join them in January. And he's a very, very good keeper. Like, their expected goals overachievement in Sweden was crazy. So, I like the direction the club's going. I think that their transfer system looks excellent as well. And, both teams score yes there at even money looks a pretty good shout. That is going to do for today. Just a couple of things before we finish off. The Betting Weekly newsletter. The Insider is going to be straight into your inbox tomorrow around lunchtime, US time, early evening in the UK. Please do sign up for free. All the Premier League games are previewed on there. We've got official picks from all the handicappers. You've got an official pick from La Liga in that Insider that's coming out tomorrow, Will. So best of luck with that one. Please do sign up for free. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Any new subscribers are really most welcome. Please do consider hitting that subscribe button if you've not already. And coming up later at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Betting Weekly Live US. These guys have been on absolute fire recently, Doug Kazarian and Mike Carver. And, of course, there'll be a big headline on Thursday Night Football. Ravens at Dolphins, and he's back tonight. Lamar Jackson is back for the Ravens, Will. 2-5 record, but their main man is going to be back under center. And just some early betting splits for the game that producer Troy gave me. 89% of the money's on the Ravens. 75% of the money on the spread is on the Ravens as well. And 85% of the money is on the over. The Dolphins have lost each of their last 12 games as underdogs against AFC opponents. That's not a great record for the Dolphins, is it?
It doesn't sound very good, Steve. I'm not a huge NFL guy, but I know which side the punters will be cheering for tonight, given the stats you've just told me, and it's not rocket science, is it?
I actually betted against the Dolphins at the weekend. I was on the Falcons, and the Falcons absolutely routed them. But I think it was more to do with a flat spot for the Falcons, really. The Ravens should get the job done, I think, against that. And we're going to recap the Daily Double, if you don't mind, Will. There it is on the screen there. Cagliari tie-no bet against Sassuolo, and Pisa versus Lazio over 1.5 goals at plus 137. So best of luck with that. What's your other best bet today?
My other best bet was the Gustav Isaksson, right? Shot on target for Lazio at plus 115, I believe. So that was my other best bet from the day. And then a recap of the weekend very quickly. We've got Inter Miami game over 3.5. We've got Fermin Lopez, of course, to either score or assist for Barcelona against Elche, minus 110-ish. And then we got both teams to score in Napoli Como at plus 100. Solid bets, I think, but famous last words.
Yeah, well, yes. Hopefully, we can deliver those. Best of luck with that, everyone, as well. Cash those tickets today. Remember to gamble responsibly. I'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live with Nigel Seeley, and Will see you next Wednesday for Champions League action. Thanks so much for your time and your thoughts as always. So take care, and we'll see you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye, all.